As a teenager, the National Party's newest MP was asked to leave prestigious Auckland private school King's College after a violent attack on a 13-year-old boy. Sam Uffindell was elected MP for Tauranga in June. It was just last week in his maiden speech in Parliament where he talked about the need to be tough on gangs and crime, something he campaigned heavily on.
Our region is beset by gang issues and, unfortunately, like the rest of New Zealand, a growing culture of lawlessness, lack of accountability, a sense of impunity, and significant underlying generational social problems. We need friends, family, and in particular parents to step up and show what is right.
Well, Sam Uffindell joins us now in studio. Hi Sam, thanks for being in here this morning. What did you do in 1999?
It was the last day of the year. I was fifth form, and myself and a couple of other people, 3 other people, raided the third form dormitory. And there was a student there who I punched a number of times in the arm and body, and you know, subsequently he was hurt. And the next day the school called us in, and you know, rightfully they asked me to leave, which I did. You know, it's the stupidest and dumbest thing that I've ever done. I'm incredibly remorseful for it, and I've carried that with me for a long time. You know, as I grew up, you know, I started to worry more about the emotional impact that had happened, that had caused on the other person involved, and when we got back to New Zealand a couple of years ago, you know, I wanted to take full ownership of it, so I obtained his number from a family member of his, and reached out to him, and I was very grateful that he took my call.
Why did it take 22 years when you say it weighed on your mind for that time?
I mean, as a child, I probably didn't have the maturity to reach out and apologise, but I mean, a lot of reflection goes on over the years, and you know, I was an adult, I'd lived overseas for a long time, and then when we moved back here, you know, I just wanted to tie it up and reach out and atone for what I'd done. I'd been genuinely remorseful for a long time, and I wanted to reach out and see how he felt and discuss the incident with him. You know, it was a significant incident in my life with significant consequences that shaped or completely altered the direction of my life, frankly.
And for him
as well. Yeah.
Are you saying that it had nothing to do with your political ambitions?
No, it didn't have anything to do with my political ambitions.
Can you see why the timing makes it appear that it did?
Yeah, it can look like that, but you know, we'd been back in New Zealand. We hadn't been back, you know, for that long. And I reached out to him. I mean, Simon Bridges only resigned in March this year, and I reached out to his family member to obtain his number. March, April last year or so. When
did you become, though, the Papamoa branch chair for the National Party? Was it before or after the apology?
I became the branch chair. It would have been before the apology in February or so, but look. So you were in politics before. I wanted to help the party, and you know, I've been a member of the National Party since 2008, and I studied it at university, so it's something that I have an interest in. I'm genuinely remorseful and sorry about this. You know, I'm not trying to hide from it. Talk to whoever wants to talk to me about it. You know, I disclosed it all fully to the board.
To the board? Did Christopher Luxon...
To the pre-selection committee, sorry, not the board.
And did Christopher Luxon know about this in the selection process?
Well, Christopher wasn't on the pre-selection committee, so I'm not...
So the leader of the National Party...
I'm not aware that he was aware of it.
Okay. Were you entirely transparent throughout the campaigning period? Because the Bay of Plenty Times asked the candidates a series of questions at the time, and one of them was, what was your biggest mistake? And so, for example, the ACT candidate Cam Luxton said he raised his drink driving conviction. Your answer was not coming back to New Zealand sooner. There's nowhere we'd rather raise our kids. Do you maintain that that's your biggest mistake?
Look, I think what I gave there was a light-hearted answer to something which I probably should have thought more about, and but I also, given that it had a significant impact on someone else, I didn't know whether that was the right platform to be bridging that. Look, the opportunity was definitely there in the by-election to go through with it, and I wish that I had have. But
when you say go through, talk about it. Be more transparent.
But I've been totally transparent with the board. I'm totally transparent with you guys now. I'm not running from this at all. You know, I take full accountability for what happened. I own it. You know, I was 16 years old. I'm not a perfect person. You know, I make mistakes like a lot of people do, and you know, but I've learned from them, and I'm a lot better person as a result. And I'm trying to live my life as a responsible adult.
Have you reached out to the victims since the story broke?
No, I haven't.
Do you plan to?
I'll talk about that with our guys, but I mean, I want him to know that my apology was genuine and sincere back then, and it still is today. Do
you want to still be the MP for Tauranga?
Yeah,
that's your intention to stay on?
I do want to be the MP.
Does the leader want you?
So far, I understand I have the party's support.
So you've spoken to Christopher Luxon. He has given you his support to stay on in the role?
Look, Chris and I talked very briefly last night. I won't reveal the details of that, but it was just a brief check-in.
You said the party supports you, so he's obviously indicated that you've got his support.
The party has. I mean, Chris and I didn't actually discuss that. We just had a brief check-in, and I'll be catching up with him today.
So who from the party said that you have their support?
I mean, these are internal discussions, really, but that's the feedback I've been getting from the president, from the office,
from the office of the president,
from the
National Party headquarters, okay, from the leader's office. So the leader's office and HQ. So both the leader's office and HQ have said that they support you through this. Which MPs, national MPs, knew about this incident before the story broke?
Look, there were. I'm not going to disclose who was on the pre-selection committee. That's a matter for the party to do if they want to do that. Look, this is a really bad thing, you know.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I'm just trying to get some information because this is going to be, and I know you're new to politics, but it's going to be one of those stories that rolls on for a couple of days, and these are the questions that the press gallery will be asking today.
Yeah.
So, did Christopher Luxon know about this before the story broke?
I'm not aware that he did.
Okay. Do you know of any other MPs, national MPs, who did?
There may have been other MPs that did if they were on that pre-selection committee.
Judith Collins and Matt Ducey were on the board. Do you know if they were on the pre-selection committee, or what MPs were on the pre-selection committee?
They weren't on that pre-selection committee. I'll leave it to the party to answer who was on the pre-selection committee, because they might be bound by confidentiality issues.
We're about to do a story.
I'm not trying to hide on it, but I just need to be cognizant of that.
We're about to do a story about ram raiders, and they're often young offenders, and about what consequences they should face. Do you concede that what you did was probably worse than what a ram raider is doing to a shop right now? And what consequences do you think young ram raiders should face?
Yeah, I made a significant mistake. You know, I did something that was really bad, and the school held me accountable for it.
Did they, though? Do you feel your punishment, which was being asked to leave school, was sufficient?
I thought it was sufficient. Yeah, I thought the school did the right thing, and whether other people wanted to take that further was up to them.
Sam, when Ryan asked about whether you're going to reach out to the victim now, and you said, I'll have to talk to my guys about that.
I would love to reach out to the victim.
Can you see when you say I'll have to ask the party about that, that makes it come across like this is a political decision for you? It's not actually a personal decision on whether to reach out to him or not?
I would love to reach out, and when I spoke to staff yesterday and I was driving in, I wanted to give him a call, and then I realised that he already knew about it, so I didn't. But I would very much like to talk to him.
But will you, or will you only if the party says you can?
I'm going to get a hold of him because I want to check in and see how he's doing.
Okay. Yeah. National MP Sam Uffindell, thanks very much for coming into the studio this morning.